death in itself is not death, okay? We actually don't die. We're infinite beings. So what happens after death? Okay, our body dies. Our body is no longer needed, and there's a misconception that our soul is in our body, but our body is actually in our soul, okay? Our spirit, rather, and our soul are so expansive that they far surpass that of our body, and there's no way that our body could actually contain all of it, which is actually amazing if you really think about that. Think about that for a second. Pause. Wow. Okay, so yeah, it's actually the other way around than what most people think. And we have a soul, which actually requires a physical incarnation to be inhibited. Okay, it requires a incarnated form, a vessel, to be able to exist. And your soul only really knows one life because it doesn't see it never ends. When it's incarnated, it's incarnated. So it sees all your lives as one linear life. And this is where karma and past life sort of stuff get carried over into this life and how that happened. And kind of a little bit brief explanation on that. But so what happens after we leave our body is there's an integration period for the soul, and it goes to the astral plane. And it sort of goes through a rundown process, an integral phase of like everything that happened in the life that it just sort of completed, and kind of goes through some check marks and stuff, you know. Yes, this really happens. It's on the astral plane, which is the plane of existence above, you know, the solar system, basically, what we know to exist. And then after it goes through this integration phase, it'll either be reassigned to be reincarnated, which their time on the astral plane and our time in Earth years is completely different. So this may be like 100 years later, or it may be 5 years later, or it may be 10 years later. You know, just depending on the construct and how long it takes for the soul to really integrate sort of what happened in an experience in its last life. And so then it'll either be, after that phase of integration, it'll either be assigned to be reincarnated, or they may be assigned as a spirit guide. A lot of the times, most people go through their lifetimes, but if they've reached the end of their life cycle and they've reached the level of a mature soul, then they, or an old soul, that's the other thing, is there's so many different levels to the soul, and I'll have to cover that in another video. But once it goes to the last level of the cycle for the soul, it'll go back to the astral plane. And if it's reached that phase, a lot of the times then they'll choose to be a spirit guide, in which they sort of aid a particular person, many people on Earth in their own process of life. And that's why we have spirit guides. They are here to help us. And why are they qualified as spirit guides? Because they've been through all of those cycles. And so yeah, that's what happens. Very, 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 very rarely will a spirit, is from the astral plane, the soul's moves on to its spirit form. And it either becomes a guide, like we just discussed, or very rarely it'll go to the causal plane. What's on the causal plane is usually very super evolved spirits that kind of oversee the spirit guides, okay? Not that there's a hierarchical system in the world beyond this one, but there is a structure to everything, okay? There is a system in place. And that's kind of how it works. And what's beyond that is, we'd be here all day. There's a lot of things above and beyond that plane, but we'll stop there for right now. So that's what happens technically after you die. So technically you don't actually die. We're infinite beings, okay? We just expand. It's expansion. When we leave our bodies, we are not leaving. We're expanding into more, into above, into beyond, which is actually a really beautiful thing and really cool if you think about it. And it can really switch your perspective, especially now in this time, of death and what death is, and why humans sort of have created this atmosphere that we live in sort of this society that chases immortality and fears death, because it's the unknown of what we experience in this lifetime. It's unknown, it's taboo, and it's, we think it's something to fear. And anything that's there that instills fear is illusion, okay? Clearing that up straight and simple. And so yeah, we don't actually die. We're infinite. We live on and expand beyond the body. So a lot of people asked, what happens, or why, or what about the people that are dying right now? And I don't want to seem insensitive to people who are losing people, who have lost people. I've experienced death at an exceptionally young age and in a very traumatic, unexpected sort of way. And I've experienced a lot of death actually over the past 6 months in particular in my own circle. So I'm not like immune. I understand it's an emotional process, and we still have to purge, we still have to mourn, and you have all the right, and I've done that just as well, knowing what I know. We mourn people when we're not able to physically connect with them. And so not sort of to take away from anyone who is going through that process now, or to seem insensitive, but who is leaving this earth right now, who's expanding beyond their bodies, have actually been contracted to do that. They've been given a choice, whether they want to stay or whether they want to leave. Some of them have already chosen prior to coming here to leave during this time. Why? Because when we are detached from the physical body, when we're detached from the physical plane, we're detached from all of the earthly construct of it. We don't have those dramas playing out in the mind and all of these other things. Therefore, we're allowed to provide more guidance to those that are still incarnated. And so a lot of those people are serving now as guides and sort of helping elevate the consciousness and undergo this process for the rest of us that are incarnated at this time. There's many that are sort of reaching a level of consciousness and giving a choice as to whether or not they want to leave or to stay. And for example, I was given a choice, and I know the exact moment consciously. Actually, I've probably been given a choice a lot of times in my life. I can think of like 3 valid times in my life where I've consciously been like, oh, I'm being given a choice, whether I want to stay here on earth or whether I want to go. And I'm not talking about suicide. I'm talking about like occurrences that have happened, and that I'll have to dive into in another video as well. But I've been given a choice to be here, and as much as I have not felt at home on earth my entire existence, that's my dog, I have consistently chosen to remain. Why? Because I understand, and I'm beginning to understand, that I'm here for something more, and I'm here to contribute something more, and to do so in a body, and have made that choice. And so a lot of the people that we're gonna see leaving right now are making that choice to serve from a higher perspective, to have that impact from the spirit realm, and they will go to the astral plane. They will sort of go through a review process, and they will sort of serve as guidance and spirit guides and energies supporting all of humanity right now and Earth in the transition during this phase and time. And so when you understand that their soul's contracted to do that, I think it puts it in a little bit better of a light. It sheds a little bit more light on it, and we're not seeing it in this depressive, dark, dreary state that I think it can seem like, looking at numbers and looking at the television and hearing X, Y, and Z, you know, that can lead us to fear. The other thing right now is a lot of people, I mean, we're all being conscious, I mean, we're all being given a choice consciously whether to evolve to a certain degree, and to be able to expand our awareness and tune in at this time. And the people that have been heavily densified in their conscious state, that are refusing to budge, that are refusing to move, a lot of them are being removed to sort of return to the astral plane, to sort of be removed from their super densified state. Why? Because Earth doesn't need that density right now. We need light, we need love, we need evolution, and so they're being called to go home or to the astral plane. And they will as well serve as guides, but they go through more of a heavily review period. And a lot of the times those people will serve as the guidance and hard guidance, and sort of really focusing the energy on those who, you know, are needing that extra push. Because during this phase, everyone's kind of in their own wave, and everyone's kind of going at their own pace and at their own speed that they sort of intuitively and internally know is right for them, whether aware of it or not. Everyone has their own place and own sort of pace and movement in all of this. Some people get stuck, okay? Some people get stuck in the illusions, get stuck in the fear. And those people, if it's too much, if it's too dense, they're being relieved. And that's really all it is. And so, again, not to desensitize or like seem insensitive to what's going on or naive or anything like that. You know, I understand, especially people who are empathic and, you know, those with loved ones who are being affected, and those with relatives and friends and everything that are being affected. I totally understand, you know, feeling emotional about it and having emotions about it. It's perfectly normal. It's being human. And so yeah, I don't want to seem insensitive, but just, I have received so many questions about it. I pushed it off as much as I could, but finally I was like, okay, we'll go there. We'll dive in. And so hopefully this clarifies some of that and gives some understanding to what's happening and sheds a lot of light on it. And hopefully we begin to see it as a beautiful sort of rite of passage and rite of sort of inauguration in a way, and a celebration for those who are leaving now, and be able to thank them for the services that they are sort of bringing to us now, because that's really what it is. And this is kind of a very light run through of everything. There's a lot of little parts and a lot of other informations and a lot more that we can expand on, but I think right now you know, it's best just to keep it simple and straight to the point, and I tried to do that as best as I could. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this helps you, you know, feel a little bit better, feel a little bit more comfortable with the process of that with yourself as well as around us right now, and be able to sort of provide gratitude for those that are leaving Earth right now, that are leaving their bodies. Thank them. Thank you for serving us during this time. Thank you for choosing to, you know, guide us and lead us at this time. Send gratitude to them. That's honestly the most important thing in the world. And can help you feel better about it in all of this as well. You know, providing some space and time to sort of pay your dues and your respects and gratitude to those that are going to be your spirit guides and that are, you know, helping Earth at this time. So that's where I'm going to end it. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, I really didn't want to seem insensitive, but I mean, again, I've been asked this so much, the number one question I've been asked pretty much. So hopefully this clarifies things for everyone, and we can start to sort of celebrate the process that's undergoing and happening now instead of sort of fearing it. And we can look forward to that for ourselves.